All right, let's talk about the web. We use these complex, fast, beautiful web apps every single day, right? But have you ever stopped to wonder what it actually takes to build one? Well, today, we're going to dive into the challenges of modern web development and how a really cool tool called Next.js is changing the game.
So let's start with the big question. Why is this so hard? I mean, building for the web didn't used to be this complicated. But as our expectations for speed and for interactivity have just skyrocketed, so has the complexity behind the scenes. It's really become this giant puzzle with a ton of moving pieces. And at the heart of it all is this simple fact. A great user experience today is about so much more than just a pretty design. We expect sites to be lightning fast, we want them to be super interactive, and they have to be available all the time, no matter how many people are using them at once.
And that really gets to the core of it. A modern app isn't just one thing. It's more like an ecosystem, an orchestra of interconnected systems. You've got navigating between pages, fetching data from some database somewhere, and everything in between. It all has to work in perfect harmony.
Okay, let's break down just how massive that challenge is. A developer has to juggle all 9 of these building blocks at the same time. You've got the user interface, which is, the part you actually see, but behind that, you need to manage how you get from page to page, how you get your data, how things actually show up on screen, third-party integrations, the server setup, performance, making sure it can handle 1 million users. And on top of all of that, you have to make sure the process of building it is actually efficient. It's a huge undertaking. Now, to solve that first piece of the puzzle, the user interface, a lot of developers turn to a tool called React. It's this incredible JavaScript library for building interactive UIs. And honestly, it is fantastic at what it does. But, and this is a big but, React is a master of the user interface. It is the best-in-class solution for that one box. But what about the other 8? See, by itself, React doesn't really have an opinion on how you should handle routing, or data fetching, or your infrastructure. So developers are left to figure all of that out on their own, usually by stitching together dozens of other little tools.
And this brings us to a really key idea, the difference between a library and a framework. Think of a library, like React, as a toolbox. You've got all the best tools, hammers, saws, you name it. But you decide how to build the house. You're in complete control. A framework, on the other hand, is like getting the blueprint for the house. It gives you the structure, the pre-made solutions for the foundation, the plumbing, the wiring, and you just get to focus on the fun part, like filling in the room.
And this is exactly where Next.js comes into the picture. It's not a replacement for React. It's a framework built on top of React. It provides that essential blueprint-like structure we were just talking about.
So what is it really? Next.js is designed to give you smart, sensible solutions for all 9 of those building blocks we saw earlier. It takes React's amazing power for building the UI and wraps it in a complete system that handles routing, performance, and everything else right out of the box.
So how does it actually do all this cool stuff? Let's look at a couple of key features that make Next.js so powerful. And don't worry, we're not going to get bogged down in a bunch of code.
Okay, check this out. One of the most elegant things it does is called file system routing. To create a new page on your site, say for all your blog posts, you just create a folder named Posts. That's it. You're done. The structure of your website directly mirrors the folder structure on your computer. It's so simple and so intuitive.
Next.js also has this really powerful idea of splitting up your website into 2 types of components based on where they run. So client components are the interactive bits, right? A search bar you type in, a button you click. That code runs on your device, in your browser. But server components are more for the static, structural parts, like a header or a footer. By preparing those on the server first, Next.js can send a much more complete page to your browser, which makes that initial page load feel way faster. And building on that idea, Next.js gives developers a whole menu of options for how a page is rendered, or basically drawn on the screen. And having this flexibility is one of the keys to building ridiculously fast websites. This is where the magic really happens. For something like a blog post that doesn't change often, a developer can use static site generation, or SSG, that pre-builds the page ahead of time so it loads instantly. For a user dashboard with fresh, live data, they can use server-side rendering, or SSR, to generate the page on every single visit. And for parts of the app that are super interactive, they can still use traditional client-side rendering, or CSR. The absolute key here is that Next.js lets you mix and match these strategies to get the best possible performance for every single part of your site.
Okay, so we've seen the what and the how, but let's bring this all home and talk about the most important question. Why does any of this actually matter to you and me? Because ultimately, this whole thing creates a total win-win situation.
For developers, the framework handles all that complex, boring setup, which lets them build and maintain apps way more quickly. And for us, the users, that efficiency translates directly into a better product. We get websites that load faster and just provide a smoother, more reliable, more engaging experience.
If you take just one thing away from all this, let it be this right here. The magic of a great framework like Next.js is that it doesn't just make life easier for the people building the app, it directly benefits the people using it. It's simple. Better tools lead to better products for everyone.
And that really leaves us with a final thought. By taking care of all that modern complexity and providing a solid foundation, these tools free up developers to focus on what really matters, innovating and creating. So, the next time you have a big idea for the web, maybe the first thing you need isn't just a tool, but a blueprint. Thanks for tuning in.